Hi there, I'm Ruben Cornell and welcome to episode 7 of the Samplecast. If you haven't already, please check out the Samplecast podcast. You can find that on iTunes, RSS feed, Android and all the usual podcast platforms. Don't forget the podcast is a much longer show with additional music and content. So we've got a special show lined up for you today. There's an awful lot of bargains and an awful lot of free VSTs and sample libraries. But first, let's get on to the big review. So this week's big review could also be considered an update of some kind, but it's such a great little product I thought I'd give it its own section of the show. It ships Piano 3 from Soundust and retails at around £30, or you might be able to get it on a discount if you're lucky. Now this has been produced by Pendle and he does amazing boutique small instruments, usually with an emphasis on delicate, unusual sounds. It runs in the full version of Contact and it's literally 3 pianos which you can mix together in a snazzy interface with a lot of different options. There are 38 different snapshot presets and you can choose the sample start point of the pianos, use high and low pass filters, there's envelope settings there, width controls and vibrato for each piano as well. One of the options in the interface is an adjustable velocity curve, so that's quite handy for soft or very hard playing. And also you've got a master effects panel with the usual kind of options, saturation, drive, that kind of thing. You can hear some tracks that have been produced using Ship Piano 3 on the podcast, but here's what I liked about the library, and the best thing really is the sound. It's a gentle, delicate sound, which is perfect for underscoring. I also had a lot of fun playing with the Sampletekk, which is a kind of arpeggio engine which can bring some truly inspirational arpeggios to the underscore and the left hand. That said, the Sampletekk is a little bit confusing to use at first. It's definitely something I had to poke about with and try a few different key switch combinations to get to do exactly what I wanted to, but that's kind of half the fun, to be honest, because the best thing about it is it comes up with unusual arpeggios and strange different keys that you might not have selected on your own. I also had a little bit of difficulty with the tiny controls on the interface. There's a lot of controls to fit in there because of the huge range of shaping options for the piano, but they are really small on the interface. You're going to be peering at your Contact interface to work out exactly what those do. Just one other thing that I think could be improved upon, it's great to cycle through the presets and hear the different sounds that Pendle has come up with himself. The only problem with it is that when you do that, the arpeggios in the Sampletekk are reset, so maybe that could be looked at in an update. But all in, I think the Ship's Piano 3 is really worthwhile. It's not very expensive at all and has really nice shaping options for those pianos. It's going to add a little touch of class and delicacy to your own productions. In this section of the show, we have a look at the bargains of the week. You can also find more on Twitter at BargainVST. So I'm going to rattle through the discounts this week because there's quite a few. The first is 25% off all Woodwinds at Vienna Symphonic Library. Anyone who's worked in music production for a while will know exactly how classy these particular Woodwinds are. Next up, there's 50% off everything at Sampletekk, and that's until May 2nd. Sampletekk produce fantastic keyboard instruments, pianos, organs, and also a few other things, including a couple of orchestral things as well. Sonnox have got 40% off until the end of the month. They do really interesting post-production, mastering and channel strip plugins. It's the sort of thing that you can add onto a track to give it that really professional sheen, and personally I love the Oxford plugins. The Oxford Inflator makes it onto pretty much every track that I do at the moment, so definitely worth checking those out. Lastly, it's a deal from VST Buzz. If you haven't heard of VST Buzz before, go and check out the site or the Twitter feed. They do weekly deals with some enormous discounts at times. This particular one is 60% off Shredders by Audio Imperia. It uses the full version of Contact, and the sounds there are cinematic action effects based on very aggressive synth sounds, the sorts of things that you hear in those Transformers movies, or wop 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 wop, that kind of thing. You can hear it in the background right now. All the signs have been designed by Darren Leach, and it's definitely worth having a look at if you want a really good value pack that's perfect for those absolutely epic action slices. First off, in this week's roundup, we've got 3 new instruments from East West, and they are all solo instruments. There's a harp, cello and violin, and you can purchase all 3 together or just the strings alone, just the violin and cello in a pack. So there's 2 different options. You can go for the gold option, that's 1 microphone position in 16-bit format, or there's the diamond, which is all 5 microphone positions in 24-bit. They run on the Play engine, I know everybody loves that, and the sound integrates perfectly with the other products in the Hollywood series. Now, East West haven't given us any videos to show you, there's no videos online either, there's just a few demo tracks, so information on these products is a little bit thin on the ground at the moment, but you can pretty much be assured they're going to be high-end libraries with a price to match if bought individually, but they are available on the Composer Cloud as well. You can get this new Composer Cloud service by going to the East West site, and there's a 10-day free trial with a monthly subscription thereafter. Next up, it's 8DO Aura Percussion Unpitched Volume 1. This is a 54GB library and runs in the full version of Kontakt. With this you've got 3 microphone positions and 72 instruments, also with 130 convolution reverbs on board. The main thrust of this library is auxiliary percussion with 8 full drum kits and also orchestral percussion kits as well. There's 2 different types of playing style, one with sticks and one with brushes, and the interface includes an FX engine and patented groove sampling technique. I've not had the chance to try this out, but it looks pretty exciting from the videos. Aura Percussion is on sale until the 1st of May at $199, and then afterwards it will go up to $299. So have a look on the 8DO site for information. Lastly, a new website that's really going to be close to my heart, I think. When I started out doing music production, I was a big fan of the 0G sample packs. I don't know if anyone remembers 0G data file and those kind of things. There's a brand new 0G Classics website that's just been launched, and it contains both the original and redeveloped sample libraries from really one of the original sample library pioneers, 0G. There's quite a few libraries on there already, but it's going to be an ever-expanding, growing collection which will chart 0G's history from the 1990s onwards and will eventually contain over 130 products. As well as access to the original sample libraries, there's also expansion packs in development. The first ones are already released, and they're Jungle Warfare 1 for Machine 2 and Celtic Atmospheres for Omnisphere 2. This week we've got absolutely loads of free samples and free plugins for you. I'm going to have to move quickly through these to fit them all in, but it's worth having a look at the links in the description of the podcast and the YouTube show to be able to get absolutely everything you need out of these free samples. So first off, it's a monophonic synth VST for Mac and Windows, and it's by Uhi or something like that. Don't really know how to pronounce them, but it's called ReproSynth, and this is the alpha version. It's billed as researchware, which is a test for the full version of the synth, which will be coming out quite soon, I understand. The producers say it's a very CPU intensive synth, so do watch out for that, but they basically put it out there so that people can test and see exactly what their systems can do with the algorithms on board. The next collection of samples is something I came across on a Facebook group, and it was recommended by Bruce Knight, so thank you very much to you, Bruce. The samples have been released by the Centre of Arts and Technology at Seoul National University, and it's a whole bunch of Korean instruments running in the full version of Kontakt. They also run in live samplers and Logic's EXS24 sampler. There's 23 different instruments in total, and you've got ethnic Korean strings there, percussion and wind instruments too. None of these instruments are very big or very fancy, but they still have different articulations and key switching on board as well. You'll find that some of the tunings are unique. I've downloaded some of these instruments myself and had a play with them, but that's really what makes them authentic. So there's a huge variety there on the website, completely for free. It's a little bit difficult to find with the Google search, so you'll have to go down to the description and have a look for the link. Next up, it's Freefall by Soundethers. This is a texture and cinematic underscoring package with 18 patches for the full version of Kontakt. Runs in at 173 megabytes in 24-bit format. So go to the website in the description below, or check out soundethers@gmail.com. Just drop them an email to request your copy. Lastly, I had a lovely email from Noah Horowitz, who alerted me to something he's been working on called the Alpine project. Now basically what he's doing is he's taking some fantastic sound fonts and kind of underused sound libraries from around the web, and he's wrapping them up into the Contact engine, and at the moment there's a good selection of orchestral brass and winds. So far there's English horn, bass clarinet, French horn, trumpet, and he's just released a trombone library as well. They're small Contact instruments, so I wasn't expecting much from them, but they do sound quite authentic, especially the versions with a little bit of reverb applied. So again, have a look in the description for the link for those. Thank you so much for watching the Samplecast. For more information, head to the Samplecast website at thesamplecast.com. There's also the podcast show, don't forget to have a listen to that, where you can hear exactly what all the products sound like that I've been chatting about today. There's also extras in the podcast, including interviews and developer updates, so check that out on iTunes, Android, and all the usual podcasting platforms. It'd be really appreciated also if you could follow us on Facebook and share and like the show on YouTube, Twitter, and all that social media good stuff. Over the weekend, I'm off to Music Messe in Frankfurt, so I shall see some of you there, no doubt. Look out for me and my shiny bald head. And I'll be reporting back news and events from the show next week as well. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye now.